I'm not sure. Oh, there it goes. Hi, Year 4. I'm sorry that I had to rush off. This is just a very long but very important chapter in the book. And I actually got to go and see for the very first time since maybe the beginning of March. I got to go and see my godson, and his name is Marvin. He's wonderful, and it was so lovely to see him. And we couldn't do very much because we were in the park. We had to make sure that we were safe and sensible, but it was so lovely to see him and my friend Eva, who's his mummy. And I'm sure that you are starting to see some of your friends out in the park as well now, and maybe even some family members. But let's check back in with Wilbur, shall we? Well, said Mrs. Zuckerman, it seems to me you're a little off. It seems to me we have no ordinary spider. Oh no, said Zuckerman, it's the pig that's unusual. It says so right there in the middle of the web. Maybe so, said Mrs. Zuckerman. Just the same, I intend to have a look at that spider. It's just a common gray spider, said Zuckerman. They got up, and together they walked down to Wilbur's yard. You see, Edith, it's just a common gray spider. Wilbur was pleased to receive so much attention. Lurvy was still standing there, and Mr. and Mrs. Zuckerman, all three, stood for about an hour, reading the words on the web over and over and watching Wilbur. Charlotte was delighted with the way that her trick was working. She sat without moving a muscle and listened to the conversation of the people. When a small fly blundered into the web, just beyond the word pig, Charlotte dropped quickly down, rolled the fly up, and carried it a little out of the way. After a while the fog lifted, the web dried off. The words didn't show up so plainly. The Zuckermans and Lurvy walked back into the house. Just before they left the pig pen, Mr. Zuckerman took one last look at Wilbur. You know, he said in an important voice, I've thought all along that that pig of ours was an extra good one. He's a solid pig. That pig is as solid as they come. You notice how solid he is around the shoulders, Lurvy? Sure I do, said Lurvy. I've always noticed that pig. He's quite a pig. He's long and he's smooth, said Zuckerman. That's right, agreed Lurvy. He's as smooth as they come. He's some pig. See, here, I actually think that I agree with Mrs. Zuckerman. It's a spider that's extraordinary because it's Charlotte that actually made the words in the web. Anyways, let's carry on. When Mr. Zuckerman got back to the house, he took off his work clothes and put on his very best suit. Then he got into his car and drove to the minister's house. He stayed for an hour to explain to the minister that a miracle had happened on the farm. Here, they mean a minister. It's like somebody who is a leader at a church. So far, said Zuckerman, only 4 people on earth know about this miracle. Myself, my wife Edith, my hired man Lurvy, and you. Don't tell anyone else, said the minister. We don't know what it means yet. Perhaps if I give some thought to it, I can explain it in my sermon next Sunday. There can be no doubt that you have an unusual pig. I intend to speak about it in my sermon and point out the fact that this community has been visited by a wondrous animal. By the way, after hour at Wilbur's pen, admiring the miraculous was working and that Wilbur's life would be saved.